Hi there guys, and welcome to another campaign diary for the Troll Skull Club, our weekly Dungeons & Dragons game. My name is John, my pronouns are he, him, and this is what the party's been up to. So our last session left off with the party having snuck into the Emberfell auction house. They're looking for any sort of information about the whereabouts of Quick, our tiefling sorcerer cleric's children that have been missing for about 5 years since they were abducted from her family home. They were able to sneak into this auction house and find a ledger that basically showed and stated that Quick's two children did go through the auction house, and that they were sold to an Archmage Val Zur for the purposes of research, which actually connected to Harvey's, reminded Harvey of something. Harvey being our Aarakocra rogue, that he had overheard while walking through the city that there is this floating citadel, she's so cute, above the city, and that there's been some sort of people are sent there, creatures are sent there, and they're experimented on, and nobody's ever seen anyone come out of there, after they've been sent up. So they make a connection of two and two and assume, okay, Archmage Val Zur, whoever this is probably up in that floating citadel above the city, and that's probably where they're conducting their research. So the party heads back to the Blushing Spectre Tavern, which has kind of been their little home and abode in their time in Emberfell. And they take a long rest, take a night's rest to decide what their next plan of action is going to be. Previously, before they entered the city, they had met up with this ragtag group, this rebellion of sorts, that is trying to overthrow the Duergar leadership in the city of Emberfell. And so they all wake up and they all decide, talking together, that it'd probably be a good idea for them to leave the city, head back with the rebellion, and figure out what their plan of attack is going to be from there. The idea being that they can possibly use the distraction of all the chaos of the rebellion to get to the floating citadel and confront Archmage Val Zur, or see if they can find out about Quick's children. Heading back to the tent, to the ragtag kind of encampment that the rebellion has, they meet up with Hjorek Falak. They're kind of like meeting up with Hjorek Falak, the kind of one of the leaders of this rebellion, along with Elijah Shadlove, the last heir to the previous leaders of the city of Emberfell, the Shadlove family. And they have a nice discussion about, how their goals are kind of aligned and how maybe they can help each other out. That's when Mara, the white dragonborn wizard, brings up a very key, important detail. She has been, while they've been in Emberfell, Mara has been talking and training with Seeker Verlis, who is the head seeker of knowledge and arcane research at the Sapphire Tree, which is basically like, a giant laboratory library situation for wizards. It's, it's a wizard wonderland, really. It's where all wizards in Emberfell and all magical and arcane research kind of happens at. She's been training with Seeker Verlis and has actually been able to learn the teleportation circle spell and has been able to copy the sigil that is within the Sapphire Tree. And so our plan comes into motion essentially in 3 days. The attack on the city is going to happen. The frontal assault is going to happen. And while the Duergar are distracted by that, an elite SWAT team is going to be transported into the Sapphire Tree and make their way in towards the Crystal Spires, which is where the Lord Gwar Doomfist, who rules the city, spends most of his time. Take out the head of the snake. Hopefully the rest of the troops will follow. And that also helps the Troll Skull Club, because the Troll Skull Club also knows that the only way to get to the floating citadel is through a teleportation sigil. And you guessed it, it's within Lord Gwar Doomfist's headquarters. So everything seems to align for the party and their situation. They are going to assist this rebellion, and they're going to hopefully see if they can find out what happened to Quick's children, and if they're still alive. Who knows? It's been 5 years. They were taken for research purposes by some deranged archmage. Are they even still half elven? Are they even still cognizant and people? Are they alive? Are they dead? Are they misshapen and malformed creatures now of abominations? Who knows? It's exciting. No. After that, the party just kind of has some downtime. They have 3 days, and so it's a lot of there's some talking, some discussions. Aura, Quick's wife, a warlock of Levistus, has a conversation with Harvey and Bryn, our elven cleric, about they just talk a little bit about, life, and they talk a little bit about Harvey's deal, which makes it sound like just Harvey's deal in general. But Harvey made a deal with the Nine Hells to save the Castellanter's twin children, Terenzio and Elenzio. I don't actually remember. It's been a long time since we played Dragon Heist, but Harvey went out of his way to make a deal with the Nine Hells to save the lives of the Castellanter children. And in doing so, basically promised the Nine Hells that he would deliver 100 souls to them. And so he's been kind of cursed with this counter on his arm, showcasing, the amount of souls till his goal, basically. My dog just looks funny back there. But he's also noticed that this mark has been corrupting him in some way, and that he's not quite sure about his perception of reality, and if things that he's seeing, things that are happening, are actually true or actually happening. So that's been fun kind of playing with, and Aurora kind of asked him this it's a funny question, it's an important question, but of what he thinks is going to happen at the end of all this. He delivers these 100 souls, he's completed this deal, and what's the end game here for him? All he's done is just perpetuate the cycle of the blood war, of the war between demons and devils. All he's done is damn, even if he believes that they're evil people, damn these souls to torment in the front lines of the blood war. Is he really doing a good thing? Harvey didn't really have an answer for that. And his answer was honestly that he doesn't try to think about it. So that's been interesting, just to try and see where that story is going to go. And yeah, this was a really role play. I was going to say, this session really ends with just, and the countdown ticks. And next session is going to start on the day of the attack, the day of the rebellion. So it was a really role play heavy session. A lot of, great conversations between PCs, between NPCs, of just trying to figure out what their next step was. And they have a really good plan of attack right now. Distraction at the front gates, secret SWAT team heads in, and it's going to be fun. I've already mapped out what the Citadel looks like and the encounters in there, but I need to map out, obviously, them getting through the city and them getting through the castle, and how that encounter is going to play. I'm not exactly sure what mechanics I want to use for that, because I just don't want it to be a simple, oh, you run and you see somebody and you run away. I want it to, I want it to have a mechanical thing of maybe a skill challenge. I like using those a lot, or something along those lines of, getting to the castle itself is going to be a challenge. And then once you're there, you've got to get to Lord Doomfist's headquarters, and then you got to fight the guy and whoever else is in there. So it's going to be crazy, because this could get really rough for the party. It's a large party. The SWAT team of sorts is going to be Quick, our tiefling sorcerer, Sundry, our elven paladin, Bryn, our cleric monk, Harvey, our Aarakocra rogue, Rainier Neverember, the human swashbuckler, Lydra, the drow barbarian fighter, multi-class, Mara, our dragonborn wizard, and Hjork Falak, the Dorgar cleric. So that's an 8-people party. So it's going to be large, but they have to get through the city. Obviously, they need to fight or sneak their way, or however they're going to do it, through the castle. They need to fight this lord of the city and his men, and then, I don't know what the party's planning, but then it could really lead directly into them teleporting into the Citadel to fight an Archmage. So these could all stack up pretty interestingly. So the thing is, like, I'm not super worried because it is obviously, I mean, there's 3 clerics, 2 multi-class clerics, and they got this party does a lot of damage. He's a really high damage dealing party, so I'm very interested to see how it goes, and also to see where this narrative ends, because we're getting so close to the end now of this Underdark story. Because, you know, after they get to the Citadel, they're going to find whatever answers they're looking for, whether good or bad. So that'll be very exciting. And then also, the other day after our session, I sent each of the players a little message of what they dreamed the night before the rebellion. And there are some pretty interesting. A couple of them are have mechanical implications. One of them helped because one of Quick, our Tiefling Sorcerer Cleric, was thinking about kind of going a different way with her cleric route. And so we had talked about it, and so basically her dream was a way of her to be able to go that different route by getting a different domain, essentially, than what she previously had. Harvey's dream was an opportunity for that player and that character to try something a little different and to maybe fix some problems that he's been having. But it's still obviously his choice, and he doesn't have to do it. So it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do. But yeah, that was really roleplay heavy session. We only rolled a couple times, like dice. It was really just a planning session of like, all right, what are you guys going to do? And now these next, like I said, maybe next 3 sessions, we might be able to close out the Underdark story, which is insane because I feel like we've been doing it for so long. But this story is also, this playground has been my favorite just because this has been a lot of more of my homebrew stuff, of me homebrewing up things, rather than the Dragon Heist stuff, which was me still kind of following the module, but doing my own thing with it. This is, Emberfell is like a city that I created from the ground up, and all of these, even the bad guys that they're facing are bad guys that have the main bosses, the Archmage and Gwar Doomfist, are kind of homebrewed versions of things that are, real and available. So it's exciting, it's fun. I really enjoy the story arc, and I am excited though for them to get out of the Underdark. We can go back to Waterdeep, because they've been away for so long from Waterdeep, and it'll be nice to get back to not like a giant story, to get back to little smaller adventures. I'm very excited about. So either way, that's been my campaign diary, and yeah, I will catch you on the flip side later.